Loktarg, our friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another Orc Mode workout, and today was Max Effort Bench Press Day. But just a quick reminder for those of you who enjoy these videos, please remember to click like down below. Help me keep the likes higher than the dislikes. It would be greatly appreciated. Today didn't go as good as last week. Notice a case of as soon as I started kind of warming up, my shoulders were really crackly, really inflamed, and like I said, I know it's caused by the pull-ups and everything. I've had to cut them out. And I've been doing just a lot of rehab work and tons of band work and rear delt work. It's going to take just a little while to sort it. Fortunately, I can still bench. Now today really let me kind of test where I'm at with my strength curves relative to that buffalo bar close grip last week. I've already had trolls come in and the other be like, oh, that's such a weak 350. It's like, I just benched 352 of the buffalo bar last week. A very high who weighs 220, that's decent. It's decent enough. Masters 1. Obviously, we want to improve on that. But these actually were really light out of the bottom. Right? Even close grip, these were all light out of the bottom. It's the lockout that's tough. So basically, I'm getting back up to around 350 right at the lockout. Doesn't matter that I unload the bottom. And that's the thing that's interesting to note. Even with the buffalo bar, which is a longer range of motion, harder at the bottom, I exploded out of the bottom last time. And then it slowed a lot near the lockout. Well, what happened here today? Even though this is an inch off my chest, so we've gone the other direction. Instead of adding an inch, we've reduced the range of motion an inch. And we're going against change, so it's a hair lighter at the bottom. Pretty similar weight to the lockout. What happens? I get 2/3 of the way up and it slows down. I explode off the chest, struggle with the triceps. And what I notice is that my delts are having to take over for the triceps. Now, that means I need to keep working delts, but see where it slows in that lockout? That felt like it took me 10 seconds to lock that, by the way. It's just a couple seconds on camera, but it felt forever that last couple inches. So we know we've got to work on triceps. And then I noticed my delts were so shot that I tried to mess around with some lighter board press and start ramping up. My shoulders didn't feel right. I tried to do the overhead press, and I went to even start ramping up a little bit to see how it felt, and first rep with 135, I felt like I couldn't even break it off my chest. So I just skipped that today. I'm like, let me just do triceps. We know we need triceps. Now, I know I'm trying to do mostly triceps on off days. But since I just couldn't do any other pressing today, my shoulders were just shot. That's all they had. My front delts felt just so worked that they didn't have anything left after that max. So again, we work on all of that, and part of it is, again, rehabbing my shoulders a bit further, which we're doing every day. And I've noticed that one of my ab exercises even aggravated on this weekend, and it probably is a factor. My hanging leg raises, I may not be able to do many of those until I sort that out, because it feels almost like a pull-up. So I ended up only doing a couple sets of those this weekend, did a bunch of band work for my abs. Now, I expect a good squat PR tomorrow of some type. Because that's going great. I've been doing all my sled drags, all my other stuff, been doing my plyos, my jump work. Speed squats are looking great. So I have a feeling we're going to hit a decent squat tomorrow, as long as I get rest and food. But for these, I just did 6 sets of 6 on these floor skull crushers, because there's no shoulder fatigue at all. In fact, my shoulders felt like they crackled a bunch on the first set, and they just kind of all crackled into place. And then I felt no fatigue. My shoulders felt great. It's like, wow. I almost feel like I could go do some pressing now. But I've already done tricep work, so there's no point. I mean, some people would argue otherwise, and that's fine. But I'm like, we're going to get a ton of other pressing done on speed day like we did last week. So save it for that. Just make sure my shoulders are recovered. Do all my restoration stuff and rear delts, and don't put any strain on them between now and then. And I'll do the same thing for the next couple of weeks until they're 100% again. And then we can continue to add more and more stuff back in. But it's okay, because the volume is adequate right now. Everything's good for all these movements, as long as I get the extra work for the rear delts and triceps on in between the workouts, which is kind of how the conjugate system works. We do a lot of little smaller band workouts and restoration work. And for me, it's tons of reverse hypers, it's sled drags, a lot of band triceps, a lot of rear delt tricep work. That's what I'm doing these days. Plus abs. Someone had asked me in there, oh, how come you don't train your core? I do. I probably do more abs than you do. What do you mean? I do my core. Just don't do it on camera. It's not that big of a deal. Right? We're doing the main workout. The main workout's going on here. We don't need all the restoration stuff and the mini workouts. They just don't need to be on here. They're not necessary. You guys get my 4 big workouts every week. This is the core of my training. Everything else is supplemental anyways. Right? Supplemental anyways. It's not part of the main programming. And we know you just come in and do stuff like that on this system. It's normal. But with these, again, got my 6x6, which again, people are asking, why are you doing heavier weight and less reps? I'm trying to get more mechanical tension. I did tons and tons and tons and tons of training volume for the last year. Now everything I'm going to focus more on mechanical tension. I've built a massive work capacity, and I can save all that work capacity for my Metcon work and restoration work. So I'm trying to spread stuff further out. I want my main workouts to be either max work, I want them to be dynamic effort work, or I want them to be still moderately heavy rep work. We're trying to spread out our different performance elements a little better. And I don't need tons and tons of 10s. I do tons of restoration work on my off days, and even sometimes the same days. We get 20s, 30s, all that stuff. We're getting really high reps for the muscles that need it. As far as work capacity, I'm doing conditioning work. I'm not worried about it. That's all covered there. So these workouts are about just true strength building and building muscle. Building muscle, building strength, building power. Do other stuff in between. Did 6 sets of 6 on the Snatch Grip rows. And I've actually had someone say, how are you defining that as Snatch Grip? Well, in this case, my hands are completely outside the second set of rings. Right? This is an Olympic bar. It has 2 sets of rings. It has the bench rings, and then it has like the Olympic rings. My hands are outside of those rings. Or maybe the finger on the last ring. Not the bench ring, but the last ring. Let's define Snatch Grip. And it does work a little different, and it is harder. And 225 for me is really heavy with this. Like 6 sets of 6 is pretty challenging because I bumped it today to 225. And again, that's one reason that I'm not really going to be able to go up just yet on bicep work. My bicep curls are staying constant with the same weight for sets of 6, and it's because I'm fatigued from all this stuff. Right? And they're challenging, they're hard. And again, biceps are a small muscle. Making weight increases on a bicep movement isn't done easily without just more and more and more cheating, and I'm already cheating. So it's really only ended up being 3 supplemental lifts today, and that's okay. We're going to have a lot of work tomorrow. I'll do some other stuff later today, some rear delts and triceps and all of that. And we'll get more pecs and pressing and shoulders and everything on Thursday, on my speed work day. And those tend to be a little more volume total anyway, so it's a good place to put it all. But yeah, I couldn't do the other supplemental work today. It wasn't there. It wasn't in the tank. And again, got to keep building up those shoulders. I have to build their work capacity and get rid of any of those little nagging pains. Because again, that can affect your ability to press. And they were actually fine for that max. They were fine for that max. So I started messing with supplemental stuff and trying to use any of it. It just didn't feel right. None of it felt right. So I'm not going to risk it. Right? If it doesn't feel right, go over and do the stuff you can do. And at the end of the day, upper back and triceps are never going to be a bad thing to build up for your benching. You can never go wrong by doing upper back and tricep work on your bench days. So that's what we did, because we could do all of it without any discomfort. And we know we need to build those up, and we know I need the triceps. Because the triceps are kind of where I'm at. I mean, that seems to be my sticking point, is triceps, up at that top. Because, again, we go back to, with the Buffalo bar, pretty much the same weight at the lockout, all the way off my chest. Ends up being about the same max that change with the small board is. I am explosive off the chest now. We're good. And we'll keep getting that. We'll get that off the floor press and supplemental work, and that's all going to keep coming along. It seems to be a tricep weakness and possibly secondary shoulder weakness right now. Keep it flowing. Keep building it. Keep moving forward. Get that next bench PR. Because I feel like now, once my shoulders are fully healthy again and I don't do silly stuff like think I can do pull-ups anymore, as long as my triceps keep getting stronger and stronger and bigger, I think my bench is going to keep climbing. And then we did our 4x6 curls. We did our 4x6 curls with the same weight. But again, because we did heavier rows first, there's still a greater level of fatigue, because I do feel those in my biceps. I feel them more in my upper back and lats, but I do feel quite a bit of bicep on them with that wide grip like that. It's definitely there. So they're getting fatigue, and this is just to finish them off. Triceps are a much bigger priority, and a lot of power lifters and strength athletes don't bother with biceps at all. They're doing rows or whatever. I know that I need them. I need a little bit more bicep. It would behoove me for injury prevention, stabilization, everything else in the long term. So it's worth me doing, and it doesn't take that much time to do a few sets of curls on my upper body days, right? It just doesn't take that much extra time to just come in, knock these out, 5-6 minutes, right? Rest a minute or so between sets, maybe 2. Come in and just get it done. And especially on a day like today where a lot of the other supplemental work wasn't there, it's fine. And I think everything will be good next week. I'm assessing all of it, figuring out what I can and can't get away with, making sure I'm rehabbing the shoulders. And I think come next week, we'll probably see a pretty solid bench PR of some type, right? It's got to keep the triceps getting stronger. And we'll get there. And in the meantime, I'm predicting, based upon other work, I think we're going to see a pretty solid squat tomorrow. We're going to get what we get. I have no idea what squat I'm going to get on the chart. And I don't know what I'm going to hit, but I know it's going to be a PR. I know that whatever I get is going to be a PR, so it'll be a good day tomorrow. But yeah, pretty much a shorter workout than we're used to. And that's fine because we do all the other stuff in between. All the small workouts add up. So I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.